Hello everybody, it's Jamal and I'm back with a TOEFL webinar for you today, and we're going to be looking at the independent writing task, which is an essay. So I can see that a few of you are already in attendance, so we'll just wait another couple of minutes while the rest of the class joins us. How many of you have actually written a TOEFL essay before? Okay, so Mustafa, this will be your first time writing a TOEFL essay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to walk you through the steps. So we're going to take a look at the types of questions, essay questions that you're going to get in the test. And then I'm going to walk you through the planning. So how do you plan your essay? It's very important that you plan what you write before you start writing so that your essay stays on track. And I'm going to go through with you the parts of the essay and how to deconstruct the parts of the essay so that you can then construct an essay. We're going to go through that process, and we're going to end up at the end of this class with a full essay. And you're also going to end up with a structure and some ideas after the class for you to go off and write your own essay. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, can you guys confirm what can you see on your screen? Because can you see the PowerPoint presentation and the lesson outline? So you should be able to see the lesson outline on your screen. You can all see that? Okay, great. Okay, so the outline for today's lesson is a task description. I'm going to explain to you what the TOEFL essay task is about. We're then going to go through an essay structure, and then we're going to write an introduction. I'm going to write one for you, and then you're going to write one for me. Then I'm going to write my body paragraphs, and I'm going to give you a chance to plan your own body paragraphs. And then after the class, you're going to write them yourself. Then I'm going to finish this lesson by writing a conclusion for you, and then you're going to write a conclusion for me. And then we're going to take a look at the end result, so the essay that I've created, for you then to go off and create your own after this class. So the objective for today is for you to understand how to write a TOEFL essay and to have all the tools that you need to write a TOEFL essay. So how do we describe this task? Well, it is an essay of between 300 to 350 words that gives your opinion on a topic and specific reasons and examples to support your opinion. So it's essentially an opinion essay. Today's essay question is this. Some people believe that university students should be required to attend classes. Others believe that going to classes should be optional for students. Which point of view do you agree with? Use specific reasons and details to explain your answer. All right, so let's break down this essay question. Here we have 2 points of view. Here's our first point of view. Some people believe that university students should be required to attend classes. One opinion. The second opinion is, others believe that going to classes should be optional. So there's 2 opinions and 2 keywords there. That university students should be required to attend classes. So attendance should be required, or attendance should be optional. Which point of view do you agree with? So you need to choose one of those to agree with, that attendance should be required or attendance should be optional, and you need to explain your opinion by using reasons and details. So what's the structure of an essay? A structure basically follows an essay follows this structure. We have the introduction paragraph, then we have our paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and then possibly paragraph 3 and a conclusion. So your essay must contain an introduction. It must contain at least 2 paragraphs and a conclusion. Some essays contain 3 paragraphs, okay, and they can, but today we're just going to look at a 2-paragraph essay. So here are the parts of the essay broken down. Your introduction contains 3 sentences, okay, 3 to 4 sentences. The first sentence of your introduction is a general statement. So this is basically an introduction to the idea or the main topic. In this case, it's university attendance. Your second sentence is you're going to rewrite the prompt or rewrite the question in your own words. So here you're going to have to paraphrase. And then your third sentence of the introduction is going to say something like, this essay will explain, this essay will discuss, or this essay will argue, blah, 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 blah. So either one of these 3 verbs are good to use to introduce your opinion. Then your paragraphs 1 and 2 are going to follow the same structure. They're going to start off with a reason for your opinion. Then you're going to explain your opinion. Then you're going to give an example. And then you're going to close the paragraph with a closing idea or summary sentence. Then your conclusion is about 2 to 3 sentences. And you can follow this model. This essay discussed, and then your reason 1, 2, and possibly 3. And then finally, you end your essay with restating your overall opinion. So it's a very neat structure. You should always plan your essay, as I said. Once you have your essay question prompt, try to note down some ideas. A plan is like a map, right? If you don't have a map, then you're going to get lost, just like your essay will if you don't plan it properly. So your planning is just a matter of deciding what your opinion is, firstly. So should students' university attendance be required or should it be optional? First thing I have to plan is, what is my opinion? Then I need to think about 2 reasons. Why do I think this? The first reason I think this, and the second reason I think this. That's my plan. That's going to guide my essay. So for my plan, I've decided that my overall opinion is that university attendance should be optional. So that's what I'm going to be arguing in my essay. And my 2 reasons are, it's difficult for teachers to enforce mandatory attendance. That's one reason why it should be optional. And the second reason why university attendance should be optional is because it helps build responsibility in students. These are my 2 reasons. So this is my essay map. My introduction is going to state my opinion. My first paragraph is going to explain my first reason. And my second paragraph is going to explain my second reason. So my essay plan. Now I have to write my introduction. So 3 sentences, a general statement based on the prompt. Then I have to rewrite the prompt using my own words. And then this essay will explain, discuss, or argue. So I'm telling the reader what this essay is going to be about. So I'm going to walk you through an introduction step by step, breaking it down into these 3 sentences. The first sentence is, write a general statement based on the prompt. Should university students be required to attend class or should it be optional? Here's my general statement. For most people, the experience of university is their first real experience making decisions for themselves. Now you can see this is a very general statement. There's nothing in there that refers to class attendance. Okay, I'm not getting into that yet. I'm just first introducing the reader to the general topic, which is university. So I start quite general, quite big, and then I narrow it down in my second sentence. But before I do that, I'm going to give you 1 minute to think of your own general statement to begin the first sentence of your introduction, which is basically introducing the reader to the general topic. Feel free to write your sentence into the chat. I'll give you 1 minute. Time starts now. Okay, time is up. Let's take a look at some of your sentences. Okay, some good first sentences there, right? So they don't have to be too long, just introducing the reader to the main idea. For example, Mustafa's sentence, universities are a place for students to build responsibility. Fine. Irina's sentence, studying in university disciplines responsibility. Okay, fair enough. Now we need to move on to sentence number 2 of your introduction, which is rewrite the question prompt in your own words. So firstly, the question prompt is a question. So we need to turn this into a statement. And we also need to sort of paraphrase, so try to use our own words. So my paraphrase of the question prompt is this. It is thought by some people that university students should be required to attend their lectures, while others believe that students should not be given the choice to attend class or not. All right, there are many different ways we can paraphrase. One way of paraphrasing is by using passive voice. So here I have said, it is thought by some. We can say it is believed by some. Okay, and then we introduce the idea. And the idea is that university students should be required to attend classes. Now, instead of classes, I've used the word lectures. Okay, so I've used a synonym there. And instead of optional, I've said given the choice. All right, so there's many different ways you can paraphrase. I'd like for you to try writing your own paraphrase, okay, of the question prompt. You've got 1 minute to do so and type it into the chat. Alrighty, time's up. Let's take a look. All right, well done, guys. Good paraphrases. So like I said, there's many different ways that you can paraphrase, and it's nice to see a couple of different examples there. So well done on those. Now we're up to our final sentence of our introduction, which is basically telling the reader what the essay is going to argue. So I've introduced them to the idea, I've introduced them to the two opinions about the idea, and now I need to tell them what my opinion is. And I do this by saying, this essay will explain, discuss, or argue what? Here's my example. This essay will discuss why attendance to university classes should be optional. There's my opinion. Here's my two reasons. As monitoring attendance causes stress for students and teachers, and how giving students choice causes them to become more responsible. So, my opinion, which I determined in my plan, is optional, and my two reasons. That it's difficult to monitor attendance, okay? It causes stress. And also, it would teach students to be more responsible. So here's my opinion, and I've given my two reasons. So I want you to write your own third essay. This essay will what? Discuss, argue, explain. What's your opinion? And then give me two reasons why you think that. Okay, time's up. How did you go with that last sentence? That one requires a little bit more thought than the previous ones. So let me take a look. Good. All right, great. So nice to see some really good introductions there, some nice strong introductions. Now, this third sentence is probably the most important sentence of the entire essay because it actually it guides your essay, provides a map for yourself and a map for the reader. Because the two reasons that you give in this sentence are going to form the foundation of your two paragraphs. So here's my introduction. When I put my three sentences together, my general statement, my paraphrase of the prompt, and my third sentence, I'm left with this. For most people, the experience of university is their first real experience making decisions for themselves. It is thought by some people that university students should be required to attend their lectures, while others believe that students should be given the choice to attend class or not. This essay will discuss why attendance to university classes should be optional, as monitoring attendance causes stress for students and teachers, and how giving students choice causes them to be more responsible. So after the end of this class, I'd like you to take the three sentences that you wrote in the preceding exercise and put them together into your own introduction. But for now, we're going to move on to how to write your first paragraph. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the parts of the paragraph, and then I'm going to write each part. We're not going to have time for you to write your own during the lesson, but what I'd like you to do is sort of take notes as we go along, and I'm going to give you some planning time for you to then at the end of the class go off and write your own paragraph based on what we've covered here. So my first paragraph actually discusses the first reason that I mentioned in my introduction, which is that it's difficult to monitor attendance policy. So this is my first reason. Then I need to explain why is it difficult or how is it difficult. And then I need to give an example. So I need to illustrate that. And then I conclude my paragraph by restating my reason again. So here's my first sentence. It is not hard to see why enforcing mandatory attendance would be complicated for both teachers and students. Okay, so it's complicated, or it's difficult, or it's not feasible. So here I'm saying my first reason why attendance, university attendance, should be optional, okay, because it's complicated to monitor. Now I need to explain this. How is it complicated, or why is it complicated? First of all, teachers would use valuable class time to take attendance. Okay, so it would actually, taking attendance is going to take away from the time in class. Here's an example to explain that. In typical first-year lectures, there are hundreds of students, so recording attendance would be extremely time-consuming. On the other hand, students may feel pressured to justify their absences to their professor, causing unnecessary stress for both parties. Okay, so my first example is by saying there are just too many students, hundreds of students in classes, so it would take too much time. And it would also cause stress to students because they're going to have to think of reasons to justify to their professors why they were absent. Moving on to the fourth sentence of my paragraph is concluding my first reason. A policy of mandatory attendance would therefore distract professors from their original priority of teaching the material. So notice I've used the word therefore. So in the last sentence of the paragraph, that's a really good word to tie together the previous ideas. So my paragraph looks something like this. It is not hard to see why enforcing mandatory attendance would be complicated for both teachers and students. First of all, teachers would use valuable class time to take attendance. In a typical first-year lectures, there are hundreds of students, so recording attendance would be extremely time-consuming. On the other hand, students may feel pressured to justify their absences to their professor, causing unnecessary stress for both parties. A policy of mandatory attendance, therefore, distracts professors from their original priority of teaching the material. So this is my first paragraph, and it basically explains the first reason why I think attendance should be optional. Okay, your turn. I'm going to give you just maybe 2 minutes to plan your first paragraph. So I don't want you to write the whole paragraph for now. I just want you to note down some ideas for each sentence. So just as a reminder, here are your sentences. If you believe that attendance should be optional, give me one reason. Give me an explanation. Give me an example, and then conclude your reason. Now, you don't have to write full sentences for now. This is just an activity for you to generate ideas so that you can go off and write your own paragraph at the end of the class. But I'm going to give you 2 minutes anyway. Oops. 2 minutes to do that. All right, how did you go with that? So hopefully this sort of structure helps you to helps to provide you with a guide and give you some kind of guidance for how to write your paragraph. So paragraphs, I mean, consider that you're building a house, right? There needs to be a structure, a foundation, and then you need to be able to build on that. So each sentence of your paragraph is building on the previous one. So Mustafa has asked a question. When introducing an example in sentence 3, can we use words like, for example? You can do that. You can say, for example, for instance, or to illustrate. Okay, so these are good ways to introduce an example, and you can feel free to use such words. All right, let's now move on to paragraph 2. So it follows the same structure. State your second reason for your opinion, give an explanation, give an example, and then give a concluding sentence. So the second reason that I thought of, that I thought of in my planning stage was that optional attendance helps to build responsibility in students. So here's my first sentence. By giving students the choice to attend class or not, they will learn how to make responsible decisions. Here's my explanation. University is a person's first major experience as an adult, and as such, students need to learn how to make decisions on their own. Giving students the option to attend classes allows them to learn how to manage their time and deal with the consequences of their behavior. Here's my example. For example, if they skip class to go to a movie, they may miss important information that will require more effort to learn later on. Here's my closing sentence. If they regret this decision, they will learn from the experience and know how to make better decisions in the future. So all of this supports my reason why attendance should be optional. It provides a chance to learn responsibility. And here's my paragraph. By giving students the choice to attend class or not, they will learn how to make responsible decisions. University is a person's first major experience as an adult, and as such, students need to learn how to make decisions on their own. Giving students the option to attend class allows them to learn how to manage their time and deal with the consequences of their decisions. For example, if they skip class and go to a movie, they may miss important information that will require more effort to learn later on. If they regret this decision, they will learn from the experience and know how to make better decisions in the future. Okay, it's now your turn. So plan your second paragraph. I want you to note down some ideas for each sentence. So what's the second reason for your opinion? Give me an idea that explains it. Give me an example, and then an idea that concludes or reinforces that opinion. So you've got 2 minutes for that. Okay, that's the end of our time. So hopefully you've generated some ideas to use for your second paragraph. All right, so now what we need to do is well, you can write 3 body paragraphs, but I would probably try to stick to 2. But if you were going to write 3 body paragraphs, it would be the same structure. Okay, but you also want to remember that you don't want to run out of time by trying to write too much. So if you stick to 2 full body paragraphs, you should be able to write on time and within word count. So let's move on to writing a conclusion. A lot of people write great essays and then they get to the conclusion and go, I'm just going to write 1 sentence. And for some reason, a lot of people, including myself when I was at university, found conclusions really hard to write, when actually you're just summarizing everything that you've already written. So here's the structure of a conclusion: 2 to 3 sentences. Basically, you're just repeating what you wrote. This essay discussed that university attendance should be optional because reason 1 and because reason 2. Okay, therefore, give your overall opinion, university students should not be forced to attend classes. Okay, it's that kind of thing. It's pretty much just saying what you've already said, but in a nutshell. So let's take a look at my example. Sentence 1, this essay discussed reason 1 and reason 2. This essay discussed how optional attendance is favorable for professors and how it promotes responsibility in students. So that was my first paragraph idea, and this was my second paragraph idea. And my last sentence is my overall opinion. In my opinion, attendance should be optional, as it allows professors to focus on teaching while causing students to make responsible decisions. So a conclusion is pretty much a summary. So you want to say what you've already said, but in a different way. So you're pretty much paraphrasing yourself. So putting it together, here's my conclusion. And it's just 2 sentences. But try to make those 2 sentences more complex sentences rather than this essay discussed university attendance. I believe attendance should be optional. Okay, you don't want to make it too simple. You want to try to sort of, if you've written a great essay, you want to end it strong. So try to write sort of more complex sentences, but making sure that they are grammatically correct. Okay, so your turn. I want you to take the ideas that you prepared for paragraph 1 and paragraph 2, and then write for me your conclusion. Sentence 1, this essay discussed, and then your reasons, and then give me your overall opinion. You can type it into the chat. You've got 1 minute. Okay, time is up. How did you go with your conclusions? Okay, so hopefully this kind of structure makes you feel a little bit more comfortable and relaxed about writing an essay and approaching the different parts of the essay. So try to sort of keep this formula in mind. Let's now take a look at my essay that I wrote with you guys. So here it is, all of the parts together, the introduction, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and my conclusion. So I'll let you read that. I'll give you about a minute or so. Okay, so this is just an example response. There are many different variables and possibilities. You might take an opposite opinion to this type of question. You might say, actually, I believe that university attendance should be mandatory, okay, and give me 2 reasons why. Also, everybody's reasons might be different. Okay, so when you go off and you practice writing an essay to this question, your reasons don't have to be the same as mine. And your opinion doesn't have to be the same as mine either. The way to sort of score well is to support your opinion. So it doesn't really matter what your opinion is, as long as you support it, right, with good reasons and good examples. Now, here's my word count. So my essay with my 2 body paragraphs turned out to be 314 words. And as I said at the beginning of the lesson, your TOEFL essay should be between 300 and 350. All right? So you don't want to write any less than 300 words. So let's take a look at an evaluation. To score well in the TOEFL essay, you need to clearly address the topic. That means you have to answer the question. Answer the question, whatever the question is related to. In this case, university attendance. And you also need to give your opinion. You need to use, a well-organized structure. Okay, so that's based on the structure that we looked at in today's lesson. You must use clear examples, explanations, and details to support your opinion. So it's all fine to have an opinion, but you must back it up, okay? And also, you are evaluated on your language. So correct sentence structure, word choice, grammar, and vocabulary. All right, that brings us to the end of the lesson. What I'm going to do is take you back to the original essay question, so that you can write it down. Let me take you back. So that you can write it down and then practice writing your response on your own. So here's the essay question. Okay, someone has just asked me about the general statement in the introduction, which is the first sentence of your essay. The general statement kind of is introducing the idea to the reader. So what's the idea? What's the topic? If we look at this, 1 second. So if we look at this paragraph or these two sentences, what's the key word? What's the main keyword? What is the topic about? So the topic is university attendance, right? University attendance is a general idea. So your general statement should be introducing the reader to the topic of university attendance. Then the next sentence of the introduction introduces the two ideas. And the two ideas are, one group of people think attendance should be mandatory, and the other group of people think that attendance should be optional. Okay, so you're going from big idea, which is attendance, to more narrow idea, which is the opinions related to attendance, optional, required, and then even more narrow, where you're actually introducing your opinion. So this essay will discuss why I believe university attendance should be optional or mandatory. Okay, hope that makes sense, hope that's a little bit more clear. Okay, in terms of getting feedback, if you guys after this session want to go off and write your essay about this topic, to get feedback, I suggest you book in a writing tutorial with one of our TOEFL writing teachers, and you can submit your essay to them. You can email it to them before your session, and then during the session they can give you feedback. Another way is through the platform. Once you log in to your account, you can actually access different assessments, different writing assessments as well, so different essay questions. I really suggest you go through as many essay questions as you can. On our website, we have lots of samples and lots of activities, as well as assessments that you can submit for feedback. Okay, any questions at all related to the essay before we finalize the class? I'll just take you now back to this. All right, so you might want to keep this in mind when you're writing your essay, this structure. So as I said, guys, the planning stage of the essay is important. The first thing with an opinion essay that you have to ask yourself is, what do I think? So that you can write your essay. So what do I think? Do I agree or do I disagree? Which opinion do I take? And then once you decide on your opinion, you need to think of 2 reasons why. So really, when planning, it shouldn't take you more than 3 minutes to think about what's my opinion and what are my 2 reasons. Yeah, you don't want to spend more than sort of 3 minutes on that. And you also want to try to keep 3 minutes at the end of your essay before you click submit to proofread it. A lot of the time when we're typing, and we're typing really quickly, especially when we're used to typing on, I don't know, Facebook or social media, and we use lots of shortcuts like, you know, whatever. Lots of shortcuts. So I do see a lot of people who write essays to me using those shortcuts, and I have to write back to them saying, this is not Facebook. So what you want to do, because it's so easy and we fall into the habit of doing this, to go back, spend 3 minutes at the end to read your essay and see, have you used any shortcuts? Make sure that you use full words, and not abbreviations. Make sure that you have spelt things correctly. Make sure that you use correct punctuation. A lot of the time we all make mistakes, especially when we're typing and we're typing quickly. So proofreading can save you marks if you pick up on mistakes before the examiners do.